Good morning, it's Gemma. Um, I wasn't planning on coming to the woods today, even though I've missed coming. I haven't been, seems like a long time. I've been gardening, but I needed to get out of the house. And I've got a migraine, but hopefully being here is going to help. Yeah, so since I was here last, the trees are fully in leaf. It's certainly more pleasant in here. There's a little bit of a breeze than it is on the street. I don't know where this weather's come from today. It seems to be really hot, glaring sun, no cloud. I hate it. I'm like the opposite to most people, as those of you who watch my videos know. I wouldn't say I love the cold, but I prefer the cold and the cool sort of lazy mornings to the glare and the noise and people and everything else. Yeah, but it's kind of fitting for what's going on today. Kind of mirrors what's happening at home right now. I've basically accepted that those in the system aren't going to help me or make any attempt to understand the complexity of my situation. And there's a kind of, because I've been round the whole circle now, starting with a GP, I've been to every service and ended up where I started a year and a half later. But there's kind of a liberation in that, and I've realised that I look back on my 50 years and I've made things happen for myself in life. I can trust myself. I have to remind myself of that when you're constantly having your reality twisted. And I'm extremely resilient, and it's kind of what I'm depending on right now. And I've also said a big no to just wait to go past this lady with the dogs. Yeah, sorry. I've basically said no to doing any more caring than I already do. No is a complete sentence, I'm realising, and it ain't going down well at all with those who have benefited from my good nature. The fact that I'm sensitive and that I worry and but it's been like a miracle, really. As soon as it was last month, I just wasn't being listened to. I was trying to protect both me and the person that I'm caring for. Just get called aggressive when I'm just trying to put my point across as a straight talking woman. And I said no then, and straight away there were people around. I guess it was a social worker. Not seen hide nor hair of her since, but some action was taken that day, but none since. And it's just getting beyond a joke now. So the carers come in and create more mess. Yeah, 9 times out of 10 the carers come in and create more mess everywhere. After I've spent 3.5 hours cooking and cleaning, and I can't depend on them to get my ex-partner dressed properly. So I go out. When I go out, I'm just worrying all the time, and I can't go on like it. I make sure that she's safe before I go, obviously, but by the time I get home, she's unsafe. Hiya. And can't go on like it. I'm just breaking down everywhere I go, in tears, carrying the weight of all the responsibility. So I've roped in a friend of hers, and she's agreed to come in once or twice a week so that I can go to the Peace Garden, which is fantastic. I mean, I'm only there for 4 hours a week, but it will just mean that I can go and actually participate fully in what I'm supposed to be doing and enjoy the experience. I don't know if it's going to work out because it's not gone down well. The mask has definitely slipped this morning. Been told to grow up and to cancel, and it's all very well me putting my life on hold for 2 years without a break, but don't want to put anyone else out. Tough shit, basically. So, public enemy number 1. And whatever I do, I can't win, basically. I'm to blame for everything, apparently. And I've got to a stage where I can sort of protect my own peace. The majority of the time within the situation, cooking and gardening have been lifesavers. They really have. I was dreading the spring because I was so enjoying the dark afternoons and just going to bed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and shutting the world out. I could still do that over the winter, can't anymore, but and I just thought, getting all my plants ready and everything is just another thing to get my arms around that's too much. Especially since I don't know if I'm going to lose all my plants when I'm at risk of homelessness. Another thing I'm supposed to just accept, you know, grow up and accept. But I've loved it. I've loved every minute of being in the garden with my plants. And when I left my allotments, I said in the gardening video I made a couple of weeks ago, it's as if that was a really heart-breaking, heart-wrenching decision. The right one, the right decision actually, but a very difficult one to make. But the plants kind of, it's hard to explain, they sort of, I listened to my garden of 7 years and it kind of told me what to do, how to handle it, and managed it. And I've still got the majority of the plants that were on the allotment. Whoops. Oh my god. Just trying to avoid the mud. And this time too, that's kind of what's happened. And the more you love plants, the more they give back. And it's not woo-woo, it's living proof. I have living proof that the trees and plants save me again and again. So I'm, you know, I step outside and within seconds my nervous system calms down. And you're surrounded by so much abundance, so much beauty. And somebody commented on one of my videos yesterday. Hang on. Yeah, someone commented on one of my shorts from yesterday how the garden is like a universe within itself. And it definitely is. And there's so much to just observe, and with each unfolding observation you're coming back to yourself, and the awe and the joy for being able to experience all this just returns, and it kind of teaches you about obviously life and death. You know, the whole cycle of growth and decay, and you kind of look at how intricate and complex nature is, and it kind of mirrors the complexity of relationships. And it's kind of, nature's kind of complex and simple at the same time, but you can be in a toxic relationship and still care, and whether that's trauma bonding or whatever, I don't know, and that's just something else I've had to accept. But you can still accept those feelings within yourself and still say no. Doesn't mean that I'm a horrible person. I think it would be really irresponsible of me to carry on without help. Yeah, it'd be really irresponsible of me to carry on in the way I'm doing, driving myself into the ground. And I'm not prepared to do that. I've worked so hard to get on top of my mental health. And that's been self-directed mainly since 2018. I'm not going to jeopardise that. I'm not going to let anybody jeopardise that. So for me, this is a big step forward, and hopefully a positive one, but there's people everywhere. Yeah, but this is where you doubt yourself. This is saying no after years of not actually following through with, well, I've tried to leave, and it's just a typical scenario that I think it takes people about 7 attempts to leave toxic relationships. And my God, I've tried, and the only thing that's kind of keeping me going is the memory of how I slept in a field for 3 nights in an attempt to, in a foreign country, in an attempt to see if there was something better for myself. That was tough. That was tough. But so good. It felt so good. And I don't want to be this reactive person that I don't recognise anymore. I don't want to lower myself to the level to that level, basically. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination at all. But essentially I'm a quiet, peace-loving, studious, boring person. And I like being that way, and I don't want to be reactive anymore. Yeah, actually, I was about to say, it looked as if maybe they poisoned this whole area last time, but it is actually growing back slowly. Maybe they cut it back a lot more than they usually do. My head is not good. And I thought I just need to come here to the tree. It's about, when was the end of the project? The 28th of March, so coming up to a month. But almost a month to the day. I think I've been here once before, once since then. Oh. It looks as if I was extremely lucky to get a year with this tree, coming so many times over a year without this problem. I'll show you why. And they've actually closed it off. They've closed it off. They've rebuilt the natural fence. Oh my God, you can't get in there. Probably can get round the back, but there's this is what the problem is. Don't touch OPM caterpillars. I forget what they are at the moment, but yeah, basically they're dangerous to humans and animals, I think. So I have to admire from afar. And it's just kind of made that whole project sort of more special in a way, that this has happened today, that I can't actually get there, as if that was an experience in itself, and the culmination of that was that I need to choose Gemma, and that's what I've been doing. So hopefully it won't be there all year. I remember being surprised that I was able to access it all year round, and it's not a bad thing to keep humans away for a while. Not a bad thing at all. And it's true what they say, you really find out who your friends are when the shit hits the fan. And right now I have about 4 people that I hold in high regard, very high regard, sort of in my life at the moment, and they understand, they get where I'm coming from. So that's kind of all you can ask for, really. It's all I want. It's just a bit of, understanding and empathy and compassion. And I was offered this bungalow in Garvold. Somebody, Scotland, somebody dropped out, and I was the next on the list. And the housing officer said, "Oh, do you drive?" I said, "No, I don't." And she said, "Well, it won't be for you then, because there's no bus service and it's remote and there's no shop." It's almost like they don't really want you to have the place. And she was going to end the conversation there, and I said, "Hang on, I've got questions. And you don't know me. How do you know what I can cope with and what's good for me and what isn't good for me when you've been speaking to me for 3 seconds?" So I kind of put that one to rest. But I got really scared at the thought of leaving, and I realised I needed more support. I mean, I've tried to access it, but I've not been successful. Women's Aid, and they want proof that you're being abused and that you've accessed Women's Aid. I've accessed Women's Aid twice, and they've let me down, messed me around twice. So I gave up on them. And I have the text messages to prove it, but they want a letter. And I said, well, maybe I'll get in touch with Refuge. And the more I'm fucked around, the less I want to reach out for help, you know? And she said, oh no, we don't do Refuge because it's not the right type of violence or whatever. And I've never really experienced homophobia, but I think being gay isn't deemed, you know, you're supposed to go to a special agency for that. I've been down that road as well, you know, for marginalised people. You know, gaslighting is gaslighting. It doesn't matter whether you've got a dick or a fanny, do you know what I mean? But I realised I need support to leave this situation, because it's true what they say, it's dangerous. I mean, I'm not physically frightened, but I'm I worry that I'm not going to be able to get back into the house to get my stuff. It's just lots of things. Yeah, I'm just really scared. And it's natural to need support. And that's all misinterpreted and misconstrued. Oh, you know, you're leaving somebody, and, you know, it's all, my intention has already been twisted to make it out that it's my choice to leave, which is complete bollocks. Who wants to uproot themselves at 50 years of age? You know, I love where I live generally, and I certainly wouldn't want to move while I've still got my animals alive. But that's how it's been twisted, when in fact I've had all my choices taken away from me. And I'm not going to be made homeless by it, so. And I won't be, because I've taught myself bushcraft, and I've camped on a Scottish island. For 5 nights in March. Nearly froze to death, but I'm still here. Didn't think I could do it, but people underestimate me. It's like when I wanted to be a musician in Paris, double bassist in Paris, and everyone laughed at me. Oh, how are you going to get your big violin on the Eurostar, and the police are you're gonna get arrested for busking on the bridges, and nobody believed in me. But they turned out to be some of the happiest 10 years of my life, tinged with tragedy as well, but that's life, isn't it? For most people, good and bad. So yeah, I didn't think I'd be able to do the gardening and the plants, face all that, but I have done, and it's kind of really helped. So I'm literally surrounding myself with plants, indoors and outdoors, even in the toilet. I've got succulent and an orchid and my peace lily. So even when I'm on the toilet, I've got something beautiful and remarkable to look at. Haven't been to this area. It smells amazing. I remember making a video this time last year with all this blossom. It must be at least 25 degrees today, at least. Melting. I brought some sun cream out with me, but I really don't want to put it on at the moment, so I'm going to go back in the woods I'm really, really enjoying cooking and making different things for Jan. I think that's when things are kindest and calmest between us. And I did remember when I was reacting to being told to grow up by somebody who's never had has had life handed to her on a plate, basically. She's never left the area. Never really taken any responsibility for her life, yet I'm the one that's supposed to grow up. And I reacted to that, and I kind of sort of remember the art of grey rock, and I did attempt that once when I was being, my mind fucked with. I tried it and it was like holding back projectile vomit. That's how best I can describe it. But I did it, and I protected my peace, because the more you get into the weeds with these people, the more they gaslight, and you end up just drowning in it, And they make things up. It's never any accountability, never anything, and the smearing of, that's one of the hardest things, the way they weaponise your reactions and they use your vulnerabilities against you and smear you to all their mates and all gang up. That is really hard. And she'd done this to this particular friend of hers, and I put my side across, and I think she can see things from my point of view a bit more, but I've got to the point where I don't give a fucking shit, I give a shit. Just want my life back. Anyway, hang on. Some nice people out today, all happy because it's hot and sunny. And I think it's kind of hard to keep the self-compassion going. I remember talking to somebody a couple of months ago who had been in a similar situation. Where they were caring for somebody with dementia, and bless him, he had cancer as well. And you kind of, because you want that comfort when you're doing it alone, and the system kind of disregards the needs of primary carers. You just grab whatever comfort you can get. I've started the comfort eating again, but I'm actually doing well. I've stopped, because every time I went to the shop, I used to buy a packet of crisps. So I thought, I can't make it home without stuffing my face, soothing myself. I can't walk home without soothing myself with food. But I've stopped that, and I've also stopped, not quite, but getting there, it occurred to me, because when I go to the zero waste, which is still a real bright spot in my life, I love going there. It occurred to me that I don't actually have to pick up any donuts or pastries or any of the naughty stuff for either of us. Don't actually have to go there, Gemma. You don't actually have to, you know. So I didn't, but I did get some naughty bits for Jan, but and I've ended up eating half of those. So but it's progress. It's progress. And like I say, I haven't put a huge amount of weight back on. I think the stress is burning off all the calories, but it doesn't make me feel good. And I'm also managing to do some yoga. Still a bit behind, but I'm still committed. 10 years after my start in a hotel room in Paris, 10 years ago when I was 40. May is actually the anniversary. And that is just divine. Just love yoga and just think how far I've come in order to just be in the world and function. And because I think this waking up to toxic relationships is only a fairly recent thing. Having said that, we're getting on for 10 years since I educated myself about narcissists and things. But it kind of, it's taken me this long to extricate myself, and then, you know, you get the added problem of illness for both of us. It makes things harder. So we're not good for each other. Even though there is a lot of, we've been through a lot together, obviously, in so many years, but it's not really based on anything real when it's all lies, you know. Again, I've lost my train of thought, but yeah, it's but before 2018, it sort of, I couldn't walk anywhere. I couldn't even walk down the street without thinking that some man was going to rape me or attack me or contaminate me. You know, I was working on the London Underground at the time, really quite hardcore. I did that for 5 years, and I used to freak out just having to go into an office to sign in with some of these vile, some of them are nice, but a lot of them are chauvinistic and inappropriate. I was just a bundle of anxiety. But with yoga and stuff, I've overcome that to the point where, and I couldn't be, still can't be in crowds of people either in person or online. And I never imagined that I'd ever get on a plane, let alone by myself. And before the pandemic, I was flying here, there and everywhere. Spain, Ireland. You know, I was getting my life back from chronic OCD and post-traumatic stress. And I've overcome, it took me 4 years to go into a shop again after COVID with the contamination fears. And it's helped me with all that. And this situation, it's not a cure for life, not a cure for your problems or even your health sometimes, but it, you know, it helps you meet life with more grace, more kind of an open heart and a philosophical approach. And I've found a home within my body. I spend most of the day with earplugs in, day and night, and I close my eyes and I can listen to my heartbeat and be kind of comforted by that. So yeah, so this is turning out to be a long, rambling video. I'm talking to myself mainly, I realise that, and it helps me. And I've just listened to a video about Mary Oliver, an interview she gave in 2015, and she had a shit childhood, a horrible father, and wait a second. Yeah, she was saying how her poem, in her poetry, it's almost like she's talking to herself, and she doesn't think that she would have survived without a notebook, taking a notebook into the woods and being with nature. And it was only towards the end of her life that she became more integrated into human company. Oh God, what's going on here? Christ. Oh, it's all right. I know who these people are. Yeah, come out at a busy time. And she was saying how she was very influenced, Mary Oliver, she was very influenced by Rumi. And I remember the exact day when I discovered Mary Oliver. It was when I'd been busking in Southend, and then I went into a Waterstones opposite, and I bought a book of Rumi and a book of Mary Oliver together the same day, and both were life-changing. And yeah, it was interesting to hear that she was influenced by Rumi's writing as well. So that was good. Oh, sweaty. exciting. Yeah, we're just catching the end of the bluebells now. They're just glorious in my garden. Right now, it's again, they're fading a bit, but just early morning I get up. I'm in the kitchen by 5:30 in the morning when it's getting light, and it's just divine. Looking out onto the bluebells and the quality of the light and everything. Some big nettles here. I keep promising myself I'm going to make some nettle soup. I've been doing that for the last 2 years. I've made it before, but I have quite an exciting recipe. So I must remember to collect some nettles, because now is the time. April and May is the best time to collect nettles. Right, so we've still got the wild garlic. Still looking stunning. I wrote a note to Jan's friend before I left, just saying, telling her what's what and everything, and I forgot to tell her to keep the door to the upstairs closed because we've got the cat that mercilessly bullies my buddy. So I'll probably get home and he's been terrorised and injured like he was last time. So fingers crossed that's not happened. I'm dreading going back, to be honest. You have to be really strong stand. That's what the oak tree, Repton Oak, taught me over the years, to kind of stand in your strength and remind yourself of who you are. I know who I am. I know that to all intents and purposes I'm a decent person, and that's all that matters. Don't have anything to prove to anybody. And when the masks fall off is when you're actually reminded of why you're putting yourself first in the first place. So yeah. And this is the one single thing in my life that is leaving abuse behind, is going to be the biggest thing in my life to overcome, breaking the cycle of abuse. I've just gone from one abusive relationship to another situation or whatever. It's not to say my life hasn't had lots of joy, lots of reward in it as well, but getting out of an abusive cycle is like getting out of quicksand. Really is, and I feel today is a pivotal day in that journey. So, yeah. I've got my Trangia So, and some tea bags and some water, so I could have a cup of tea. But I don't have any milk. I just had to get out what I'd give for a can of soup. I think eating soup in the woods is one of my favourite things to do right now. Simple dish, but very delicious. I enjoy it more than when I've made big elaborate pastas and things, you know, and outdoors and stuff, but nothing beats a good old can of tomato soup. Kill for that. I've got some nice soup at home. And change is really hard for me. I suspect that I'm on the autistic spectrum. I have suspected this for a long time, because having taught children that are on the spectrum, I see myself in them a lot. I cannot deal with my routine being disrupted too much, and especially having people in the house is an absolute nightmare. But it's necessary right now. I just freak out. I can't handle it at all. And I just can't settle to any kind of routine, especially with my masters. You know, I work best in the morning. I used to get up last year I was getting up at 3 in the morning and doing 5 hours solid, but now I'm having to, life changes, right? Priorities change, and that time is now spent in the kitchen. And then by the time I sit down in the afternoon, I'm too tired to do it. And I was granted the extenuating circumstances. But it just feels exactly the same as last time. But like I say, when you've got nobody to really bounce decisions off, you end up making you make it the wrong one sometimes. And that's the least of my worries. And you know, people are allowed to change their mind. Okay, I might mess them around a bit, but I've made an honest attempt at the assignment and have made a lot of progress. But I'm not enjoying it really. Kind of thinking about retrofitting high-rise social housing when I'm facing homelessness is not really what I want to be doing at the moment, but I do want to contribute to looking after the planet in my final years, and this is the one way I can do it. And they say once you've got this assignment out of the way, it gets better from there. It's really dry and soulless. I'm finding it anyway. I've enjoyed the research for my research question, but yeah, but I want to, just for personal satisfaction, it'd be nice to pass it. But if I fail for the 3rd time, so what? So what? And on that note, I'd better call it a day. Because I said to the friend that just to come for a couple of hours today. I was supposed to go down the Peace Garden, but it was cancelled, sadly, but I'm not well today anyway with a migraine. Couldn't have gone anyway, really. So I said just come for a couple of hours, and it just... I'm hoping it'll be good for both of them. They've been friends for years. So, fingers crossed. I'm very grateful if this works out. I'm very grateful that she's doing this for me, for us. And she's the only person that has actually bothered. So, yeah. Okay, well, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.